Good. With great respect and love, I welcome you all with all my heart. It's good to see you. And I actually, it seems that I begin these talks these days with writing. So I will continue that tradition and we'll take it from there. If I can find it, here it is. This is two writings, and one leads into the other, so we'll just, I'll read them both together probably. So many times I've said, we all came from the same place and we are all going to the same place. What is this place? Where is this place? I can only offer you words and concepts, but this is not enough. In fact, this is too much. See if you can trace things back to source. You will have to go very deep within to find out who you were before you were born. Who were you before the first thought came to you? The difficulty here is that no words can take you to source. Yet source is right here, right now. It is always here. So it should not be hard to find. Unfortunately, the act of trying to find it presumes that it is missing. It is not. The spiritual path is a journey to find that which was never missing. Let me save you a lot of needless effort and frustration. The love and peace that you want has always been with you. Find the source of the seeker, and you will find what is being sought. The problem here is that the dream character wants to know reality. How is this going to happen? It is not. When you let go of the dream, you will live in the reality you seek. It is almost like reality is seeking you, and all you have to do to know this is stop doing. When you are sleeping, you might have a dream of traveling to foreign lands without ever leaving the bed. In the same way, a spiritual seeker embarks on a journey to know source, but it is all a dream, and no one has gone anywhere. You are already home. You are at source right now. The dreamer may not know it, but it is so. To know source, to remember home, quit the dream and wake up. Which leads to the next one, which is how to quit the dream. Easier said than done. Perhaps this is because it cannot be done, or at least it cannot be done by you. The dreamer cannot escape the dream, but the dreamer can be diminished to the point that its dream is nothing more than a sideshow. Stop worshiping the dream. Stop devoting all of your time and energy to this world. See things as they are. This world is nothing more than dust. Look at the room you are in right now. Look at the same room 10,000 years from now. Dust. Everything you know, everything you see, everything you believe, dust. Why do you worship dust? The who that you are is eternal. The who that you are is everywhere and in everything. If you are to worship something, let it be this. The dream only works when you believe in it. Why believe in an illusion? You know better than this. You have had the experience of oneness, the sense of total connectivity with everything. It lasted for a moment, and then you went back to dreaming. You are in slumber, you are in a deep slumber now. Know this is true. See the sleepy one who you have considered yourself to be, and notice who is seeing all of this. Behind the scenes of your life, there is an awareness that is greater than your own. Notice this presence. Let that presence embrace you and return you home. You will have to have courage and wisdom. The dream character uses fear and belief to fortify its castle. But when you see things as they are, you will know that the ego's castle is nothing more than dust. Good then. With your imagination, you have endowed this world with a sense of reality that it doesn't deserve. You want to look at things clearly and see that everything here, this body, these thoughts, these feelings, the family, all of it, is temporary phenomena, is fleeting, it comes and goes. But the who that you are behind all of this, the who that you were before you were born, the who that you will be after you die, that's eternal. It doesn't have a time limit. It doesn't have any limit. It's not constrained in the way that everything here is. You see, you have this appearance of movement and consciousness, but consciousness, everything just is. Everything just is, and that's a permanent state of, it's beyond being, it's just a permanent thing that includes everything. And when you start believing in the movements that are really just added to the stillness, but all you see is the movements and you start believing in that, it's just like believing in going to the movie theater and believing in the movie. You know, it makes the movie more interesting for a couple of hours. But if you were to do it for a couple of decades, people would think, well, you've wasted a couple of decades, haven't you? So just keep your perspective here, and put your attention on that which is eternal and that which is deeper than this fleeting reality that you're focused on right now. It's just a dream. And the person that you think you are is just a dreamer. And get your perspective now. So it's like someone asked me, I was talking to a friend, if I had dreams, and you know, and they were thinking, like, you know, about the meaning of dreams and all of that and this and that. And I said, well, you know, I know that this is a dream. All this is a dream, and when I'm dreaming, I know that's a dream, and it doesn't have any significance because it's just a dream. So you want to keep your perspective as much as possible, and as you go through life, not fall into complete involvement with something that is just fleeting. If you want to focus your energy on something, let it be that thing that is beyond words, that encompasses everything. You can call it God, you can call it consciousness, you can call it whatever you want. But what it is it's eternal, and it is basically everything, and has no boundaries. So anyway, this is just, it's all reminders. You see, it's all reminders, and you're going through a life sleeping, and these talks are about offering you an opportunity to wake up. See how that goes. Mm. Hey Tracy, did you listen to Ramesh?
Yes, he has an interesting accent.
Huh?
He's elegant,
Yeah.
highly educated.
Yes.
And what I wanted to say is about live without fear. I liked that one-liner,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I feel that I came into this world with a challenge. So if I was going to have fear, it wasn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that gift, that innate nature to just barrel on through no matter what. And that's got a fearless element to it. I wouldn't say I am fearless, but I do have some gumption.
Yes.
And then that makes it was cool to hear that the relationship with death and life, that if you're fearless about life, then death's not a big deal.
Right.
So that was kind of fun. I like that.
Indeed. Well, you see, fear of death, it's, you know, this idea that you are born and that you die is a concept that makes it such that.
Touch on the fear of life, you know, because sure, we can talk about, but some people actually fear the life part. And to me,
Yes.
that's fascinating instead of grabbing the gusto.
Well, it's the natural state of an ego. You see, when you feel disconnected from source, fear would be a natural response. You see, so all that's being described there is what it would be like to feel separate from source. You understand? Go on.
Yeah, well, part of that source, that drive, was a feeling of empowerment. So whether it was I being empowered, like I'm relating when I was little, and the empowerment came from, I'm going to do this no matter what.
Yeah, but
no disability, no pain, no breakage is going to keep me from living.
Well, you understand, Tracy, this is all just different states of the ego. You see, so the one who's feeling empowered, the one who's feeling afraid, these are just these are egoic states, and one's a healthy ego and one's a more difficult one.
Well, here we go.
Yeah. But
what'd you say? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust here.
Well, it's that thing Ramesh always would say. he would say when I would ask him something, he'd go, "Who wants to know?" You know, so really, the ego is going to feel all different ways. And of course, you want a healthy ego if you're living with the ego. You want an ego that feels content and isn't living in fear all the time and, you know, all messed up and having to go to a shrink and all of that stuff. You want to have a healthy ego if you're going to have an ego, but you want to call a spade too, and know that it's just the ego, you see, and try and keep your perspective on all of this. You know, this body, it's a temporary thing. It's a temporary affair you're having with yourself as an individual in this life. This is just and in some cases it's more temporary than others. In some cases it's more obviously temporary. You know, most people go through their youth thinking they're never going to die, right? Some people go through their whole lives thinking that till the last possible moment. And then they develop concepts that even make it seem like even if they die, they're not going to die. But you see, this is, you're describing different aspects of the dream. And what I'm saying is, know that you're dreaming. Know that you're dreaming. Know that this is a dream. Know that all of this and feeling empowered and feeling afraid and all of this is just like the dreamer is just going through the different aspects of what it feels like to be a dreamer in whatever it is that they're going through, or, you know, not going through, or resisting, or going after, or feeling good about, or feeling bad about. And it's like, let that show go on the sidelines. But it's not happening to you, because the who that you are, is so much greater than all of this. And so much, you know, greater is one way of looking at it. Smaller is another way of looking at it. It's just, this is a temporary phenomenon. And the who that you are is not a temporary phenomenon. It's a permanent, all-encompassing state of, we'll say a state of being, but it's not a state at all. It's something bigger than will fit into your mind's categorizations and concepts. Okay, so that's all right. Just continue to watch the show without being the show, you see? It's like, this has got nothing to do with you. You know, imagine that you just were leaving your body. Where would you be? What would be going on? What's going to happen, you see? What makes you think that for this temporary time, it's all about you? You see? That's what the dreamer thinks. You go to sleep at night and you have a dream and you think all this stuff is happening to you. But nothing is happening to you. Nothing's even happening. It's all imagination. And this world is also all imagination. It's the same thing as your sleeping dream, just more convincing, better special effects. And it lasts longer. But, you know, a lifetime in terms of eternity is very short. It's a blink of an eye. So longer is relative. So what I'm encouraging you all to do is to keep your perspective and not to fall into slumber, into just sleeping through life. Anyway. Yeah. But I'm really happy for you that you have such a healthy ego.
I'll keep listening. Don't worry.
I know
I'm
you
not giving up yet.
I know. And you see, the thing is, on a certain level, I know you understand this anyway. You do. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep coming back. So, there's a part of you that knows all this, and another part of you that's like playing the game, you see? And there's another part of you that's just kind enough to participate in this so that you get me to talk some more. Yeah, so that's fine.
So, Ananta.
Yes.
So, I have a question. It seems intellectually okay to me to see that perhaps one of the biggest problems that we have as people here, or I'll just say that I have, maybe it's for everybody, is that I identify with the body instead of identifying with the vast awareness. And if that identification shifted, that would be a big step. So that kind of makes sense to me. The part that I have trouble wrapping my brain around is that you were talking about all of us have a dream. So I have my own dream so I'm saying it's my dream, which is already a mistake, because are we all the same? If we become awareness, that silent thing, I'm wondering if we're all there together, if it's all the same, and if we are, then why do we have like 8 billion different dreams on this planet? My dream's not the same as yours or anybody else on the screen, and so I don't know. That part just gets me that
Okay.
the dreams
There's two things.
okay.
There's more than two, because there's a lot in that, in what you said. The first thing I jumped on when you said it was, it's not a matter of switching identifications. It's not like you identify with the body and then you identify with something else. It's basically that the identification is diminished. You see? So it's not like you're switching sides. It's like there's a false identification. When it drops, there's no need for any identification. Okay? So it's not like the enlightened person is now identified with God. The enlightened being is not identified with anything, and the personal identification is diminished to the point where at most it's a sideshow. It's not anything that they are involved with, and also they're living. I can only speak for myself, but there's a sense of unicity with everything and everyone. So it's not like anyone is actually different. The appearances are different. So just because the images come up different and the expressions are different. Those are just the colors on the screen, but the screen is the same for everyone. Everyone is the same. And all you have are these different manifestations of the same thing. I'm sure no rose is identical to the other, but they're all roses, you know. And there are certain traits, but that's not a perfect analogy. I'm just saying, so that was the thing about identification. There's this, the whole idea of personal identification is the, that draws in one to looking at something that just isn't real, okay? The thing that's real, no one needs to look at because there's no one there. The whole idea that there is someone, like that there's separation, is what makes this illusion appear real. The belief in that separation, you know, the belief in you and your personality and the body and blah, blah, blah. All of that is just a reinforcement for making the illusion appear real, which it is not. Now, what else did you ask in that question? There was more.
Well, so no, I mean, the first part helps. I get it. So it's not, I like the thing of not switching sides. It's just, there's this false identification which drops away. It's not a shift in identification. It's
Yeah.
the wrong, this incorrect identification goes. I like that. That seems helpful. Then I was thinking that, so there are these, our 7.5 billion dreams on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And each person thinks their dream is, I mean, it's important to them. But are we all just part of this? If we're all part of this large, calm, still awareness, what's with the 7.5 billion different dreams? I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to answer. I'm not asking it very clearly.
Well, you know, that's just the way the manifestation displays, okay? If the dreams were all the same, it would be boring. And it wouldn't be very convincing either. You know, you have this one who's an asshole, this one is sweet, this one is that, this one is this. You know, this one's a female, this one's a male, this one's old, this one's young. And they're all blah, blah, blah. It keeps it interesting. And it feeds the sense that there's something here when there's nothing here, you see. And that really you're looking at temporary phenomena. And so just, it's not that it serves a purpose. None of it serves a purpose. It just is. And that's just the way it manifests. And what it is just amazing. It's a marvel, you see, and it points to the infinite possibilities. You know, that there's billions and billions of lives and billions of people thinking that they're living their lives, you see? And so you have this dream that is seems to be without bounds. It just goes on, and it doesn't, though. It's just short time. And there were people alive 20,000 years ago that no one knows anything about. And they had the same kind of life that you're having right now. Same convincing experiences, and maybe even more so, who knows? But that's just, you know, points to the quality of this virtual reality. It's very high quality. And, but it doesn't have to, you know, so the main thing is when you get established in the fact that everything here is temporary and everything here has the quality of an illusion, that it's not substantial. And when you get that, then your attachment and identification gradually is diminished, you see? And as that identification is diminished, your sense of who you are, that connection with that sense of just being, that thing that's prior to thought, prior to anything that fits here, concepts, it just becomes more obvious. And so when the sense of me is diminished enough, then it's done. It's just done. And it's not a matter of switching sides. It's just a matter of seeing the dream as a dream instead of living the dream, you see? So that's all it is. It's like the difference is so simple and so, it's almost like a subtle shift from seeing the dream as opposed to living the dream, living as a participant in the dream. So like when I go to sleep at night and I have a dream, I know it's a dream. Now prior, you know, a long time ago, I remember when I had a dream, I didn't know it was a dream until I woke up. You see? So that's the only difference. It's just like that. Is so everything is going on, your life is still going on, you're still making choices, you're still doing whatever, but you know it's just a dream. Like no part of you thinks these events are happening to you. They're just events in a dream. And just like when you have a dream at night and you wake up and you immediately know that was just a dream, well, you're living in that state and you know that's just a dream. And you still do whatever it is that you do, and you make whatever decisions you make, and you feel whatever you feel, and it just goes on. But no part of you buys into that they are the dreamer, that they are that. There's just a dream going on, and it will run its course. It will simply run its course until the body's done. And when the body's done, that whole part of your experience will be done. It's just be done. And you'll be exactly the same as you were before, without the distraction of some dream. If you look at it, it's really a nuisance. The body is a nuisance. I mean, you have to clean it, you have to feed it, you have to poop. It's just a nuisance. Why would you want to be identified with such a nuisance? It's a very primitive machine, really. You would think they could update it, at least to one that didn't poop. That part they should have done away with centuries ago. What kind of world is this?
But it does seem that everybody, virtually everyone who's born on this planet comes in identifying with it. At least from the age of 4 on. I don't know what happens before.
They're taught to. They're taught to identify with the body as a way to to maintain the body, you see, if you think it's you, then you take care of it. You know, if you don't think it's you, then you go like Ramana and sit in a cave and get eaten up by mosquitoes and rats and stuff, and just, you know, unless someone saves you, you're gone. So you know, it's a part of the functioning of maintenance for the sustenance of the species. That's all. And it's also part of what makes the whole thing interesting, you know? It's like you come in, you forget, and then if you're a spiritual seeker, you try and remember. You see? So, and for a spiritual seeker, that's really the only path worthwhile, you see. If you're into money, then there's other paths for you too. But it's an interesting situation.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. Thank you. That took care of it? Okay.
Ananta?
Yes.
Got a question.
Good.
Well, yeah, I guess it's a question. So I noticed listening to Ramesh that he likes to use the phrase or the word understanding.
Yes.
Which I assume or there is understanding.
Yes.
Which I assume he's equating to where there's enlightenment.
Yeah.
Is that his own, or I've not really heard that so much from other gurus.
I can't speak to all the gurus, but that is definitely, he would say that. Very deep understanding, you know, that's the way he described it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. There's no correct way, so, but that was the way he did use that, yeah. Did you enjoy his talks?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through it, so yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Not quite what I expected, but yeah, because I'd never seen him before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good series that they did. That's the Ramesh that I knew well during that time.
Ah, okay.
There, you know, there's many, you know, he talked for many, many decades. So there's talks where he's very old too. But these ones are very fresh. I like him.
What year, like how long ago was that one that you gave us? Is he like, I don't know how old he is there.
I'm not good with time.
Yeah.
Sorry. But
that's all right.
That's the
That one was taped in 2000.
no, it was
Okay.
much earlier. It might have been put on the internet in 2000. You know, like I said,
No.
I'm not good with time.
Yeah, it was 2000.
It was
Yeah.
2000? Huh. When did he die? Must have been 2010 he died.
2009, yep.
I think he was younger in that one than that, because that would put him in his 80s. So anyway, whatever. But he's very clear in those. I like him, yeah. We were good buddies, Ramesh and I. We were really good buddies. Very close.
He's got a very dry sense of humor.
Yeah. We laughed a lot.
I can bet.
Yeah.
Ananta,
Yes.
when I was listening to Ramesh's talk, there was one bit that struck me that when he was talking about it's all God's will.
Yes.
And then for some reason, it kept on triggering. I made me recall that recently lots of memories for me have been coming up, and it's all times when I felt humiliated, or times when I did something which was very unskillful, said something or did something, and these keep on coming, just popping up from memory, all of these moments when there seems to be like some coalescing around something going wrong or badly for me. And I'm just wondering, like, why is that happening? That these things are just pulling out randomly out of memory? Does it have any significance, and how to manage those kind of memory traces?
I remember during my sadhana, a lot of those things would pop up, like times that were embarrassing, or
Those kind
times
of things, yeah.
where, and it was almost like it was arising and in a way to just be filtered in a new way, just to be seen and to process and just release it. Like, it's almost like it was just it was like all this impurities were just coming to the surface to be cleaned. That was my sense of it at the time. And it was like, so the vestiges of, I think they call them samskars, you know, the kind of old impressions that are kind of etched in to the CD, and there are things that just need to just, okay, now you're in a place of self-acceptance and seeing everything as God's will, and being with everything as it is. And so now this comes up and goes here, and now you can see it in that way, in that light, and just let it process through. And I did have I remember those things, old memories, you know, of all of the events that were embarrassing, or certainly less than perfect, where I had feelings about it, personal feelings, and it felt to me like they were just releasing, and stuff that I'd forgotten all about, but they were coming up. It was still stored somewhere, and so it just got processed through, and so I'm thinking maybe it's similar, and so it's not an issue. I mean, the way that you know it's an issue is if it's got residue, if it just bothers you. But if it just processes through, arises, it's seen, and then it subsides, that's cool, because the fact that it's been stored this long means it had some residue.
Right.
See? And so maybe that's coming up, and basically you're just cleaning, keeping it cleaning, and you know, getting rid of some of that residue that has kept it with you all these years. You see, because it's not only the event, it's the feeling that comes with that event. You see, and so I think it's a part of the, at least for me, it was a part of that process of just, you know, everything just coming up to be seen as it is and released. And sometimes things have to come up more than once, and then they just eventually it doesn't come up anymore.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's a natural I had similar stuff come up in my life, so I'm guessing it's about the same.
Thank you.
Of course. Good. Mm. Good.
Indigo has her hand up, Ananta, like she wants to share.
Oh, hi, Indigo. Can you speak or just wave? You can write it maybe if you can't speak.
I unmuted her.
Yeah, I know. I can tell she's unmuted. She has difficulty because it's just a cell phone and her reception isn't great. Maybe you can write the message in. That would be great. Mm.
Well, I can step into it again.
Yeah, why not?
So we're in this nice retreat, being spiritual, and the world is freaking falling apart.
Oh, is it? Damn, I haven't watched the news lately.
But it's time. It's getting to me.
What is the world falling apart?
Just the isolation, the limitations, the restrictions. I don't know. I'm not liking the change very much.
Well,
So
you could go out and
trying to
party
be
and see if that.
I am trying to be spiritual, but it must be this ego's just jumping around inside, going, having a fit.
Yeah.
And I mean, it may not be working for me, but I'm just telling you what is. It's very uncomfortable.
Mm. We don't like things that are uncomfortable, do we?
No.
No.
Well, I was feeling well, and now it just feels like the wind got knocked out of my sails.
Yeah, you were doing okay and now you're not. So you see, all you do is watch this stuff. You see how fickle the ego is? It's like it's doing fine. Everything is exactly the same as it was yesterday, but today you have a problem with it. You see? And so this should tell you. I remember, way back when, I had this habit of worrying about money. It would come over me like, probably once a month. All of a sudden, I would just be worried about my money. And, what I realized was the week before, I wasn't worried about my money. And that day that I was worried about my money, I had exactly the same amount of money as the week before that I wasn't worried about it. So I started realizing that This was just a worry. It had nothing to do with anything, you see? So here you have a situation that's exactly the same as it was a week ago when you were okay with it, when you were thinking it's okay and you were doing good with it and you were taking advantage of the time, blah, blah, blah. And then you have a day where it's like getting to you, you see? But the situation is identical. And yet one day it's bothering you and the day before it's not a problem. You see, so you want to look at it and you just go, you know, is this something you really want to take very seriously? It just comes and goes. And some of the stuff that is coming and going in your head, it's like a good astrologer can look at the stars and go, oh, today's going to be a problem for you. You know, today you're going to worry about this. Today you're not going to like this. You know, remember those astrology things they used to have in the newspaper all the time? And they'd have Capricorn and they'd say, oh, today's not a good day to meet people or whatever it is. And, you know, it's like, today's a mark. So, you know, it's like that. And so you're at the whim of whatever is going through the air that day or through your karma that day. And you know, so more and more when you see how fickle and the whole thing is, you won't bother with taking it too seriously. So it was hard for me to take my money worries seriously when I saw how they didn't have anything to do with reality, because I had the same amount of money when I wasn't worried as when I was worried. So what does it have to do with? It's like, why do I want to get into this? You know, it's like, okay, so there's a little worry. Who cares? Tomorrow it'll be fine. Tomorrow it'll be fine. Next week you'll be okay with it, you see? Or not. And it doesn't really matter, because you know what the deal is, Tracy? Everything is just the way it is. It's always going to be that way. It's always going to be just the way it is. And some days are going to be comfortable and some days are going to be uncomfortable. And you see, so if you're spending your life trying to keep everything comfortable and trying to avoid having life be uncomfortable, it'll be a difficult life for you, you see, because you're like, you're going after one and pushing one away. So you're going between desire and what you don't want. And it's like, yeah, it's exhausting. You know, everything just is. That is guaranteed all the time through all of it. Everything just is. Just continue to be with your whatever it is that's going on, and who cares? All right, yeah. I don't like it. Okay, big deal. Tomorrow I like it. Today I don't. Oh well. You know, you don't have to feed it. You don't have to feed it when it's good either. When it's good, you don't have to be like, oh, this is great. It's just what it is. And it's the thing is, it has nothing to do with you. Just keep reminding yourself, it shows you how fleeting everything is, you know. Here, there's a place behind here that is not fleeting. And if you keep your focus on that, everything gets leveled out into that isness. I don't know if that helped, but that's what I got. Mm. Hey, so Lanny, Barbara, huh? Barbara's asleep. Hey, so how did you like the? Did you listen to the Ramesh videos?
Some part of it. We didn't listen to a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were both very tired when we listened, and it
Oh,
hard to concentrate. But
oh,
what I'm just doing now is you were talking about, and for the last few sessions, we've been talking about desire and talking about, liking this and not liking that, and looking for the beauty and running from the ugly and all that sort of thing. So just now, as you were talking, I was looking for that place in the Gita where it talks about that, because it's so beautiful the way it's phrased. Can I read just a couple of lines?
yeah, sure.
So it says, this part of the Gita, it's talking about chasing after the senses and the objects of the senses, and how it drags your mind from the path. And so it says, the obstinate people run away from what they desire. He's talking about the guru, or the sadhus and the yogis.
Yes.
They run from what they desire, but carry their desires with them. So they're running, they're not really facing what they desire.
Yes.
It seems to be saying. So the Gita says, even the mind that knows the path can be dragged from the path. The senses are so unruly, but he controls the senses, this yogi, and recollects the mind and fixes it on me, meaning the Atman.
Yes.
I call him illumined. When he has no lust, no hatred, the Atman walks safely among the things of lust and hatred. To obey the Atman is his peaceful joy. Sorrow melts into that clear peace. His quiet mind is established in peace.
Sounds ideal.
Yeah.
The path of renunciation is an interesting path.
Yeah.
It's important that it be internal as well as external, the renunciation. And basically what it is starting to exclude some of the superficial attachments so that you can really let go of that residue that all this carries, that makes this dream so compelling. But also a renunciate can get caught in that they are a renunciate and what they have done. You see, when I was in India, this is a long time ago, early, there were these swamis, these sadhus, and the sadhus, used to have to beg for money, but they do in the old days, come up to you and they put the kumkum on and this, and they bless you, and so you give them a donation, and so there were two of them. They were working together, and I gave them each 50 paisa, and one of them goes, no, 1 rupee, and so I took the 50 paisa from the other, from that one, gave it to the one who wasn't asking it. And I said, 1 rupee. So I thought, no, here I taught a sadhu a lesson.
Yeah. So he was identified with the
He was not only identified, he was there was a direct like craving for the money. He needed a certain amount. It was like, and the other one was grateful with the 50 paisa. So I just gave it all to him.
Yeah.
The one who wasn't happy, he wasn't happy anyway, so fine.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Isn't that the way we all are?
yeah. Well, it's funny. You see, doesn't matter if you're wearing a saffron robe.
No. No.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you see you have all different levels of renunciation and all different, some of it is sincere and some of it maybe a little less so. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a tool. It's a tool. Mm-hmm.
When you see the videos of Ramana and the photographs of him, you see in his face, there is absolutely no desire for anything.
Yeah.
Is that it's such total peace. And you can see in his eyes that he's just absorbing. He's part of the environment.
Yeah.
He's not a separate person. He's just part of the whole environment.
It was interesting. I've been watching some of the David Gottman's historical tellings of Ramana and the ashram and everything, and how Ramana, all the buildings built in the ashram, the mountain told him when and where and how on each building, and they were not necessarily the things that the people in the ashram were thinking. And finally, they went to build this temple, like a real temple, but they didn't have any money, and Ramana never considered money at all. That wasn't his thing at all. But you know, the people were like, what are we going to do? And so they literally they had like 100 workers, and in the morning they had no money to pay them. But by the afternoon, they did every single time. It was like that, but it was that tight, building the structure. And they were asking him to do it for years, and he wouldn't do it until the mountain told him he could.
Huh.
You see, so it was like that. He was living totally in a different world from all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really wonderful to watch him, to look at his face and the way he moves. He doesn't have to speak.
Well, he didn't.
Yeah.
We have all the times that he did speak, you know, but they were rare. And he actually considered it like, okay, if you can't get it through silence, here's some words for you. But it was not the preferred method. It's nice. And the interesting thing is, he allowed all these films of him, but never a sound. He didn't allow his voice to be recorded.
Huh.
I think because that's not how he was teaching. He didn't want that. That wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
But you can see the grace just in the photographs and in the films. You can just see it.
Yes.
It's very.
You really can.
What a great being.
Yeah.
Great being.
Amazing.
I feel privileged to have ever, I mean, I got to spend time there at the ashram. And also, you see, this was my experience there. And I didn't know this till I listened to the David Godman thing. Well, when I went there, they were very nice to me. It was great. And you know, when I left, I had to go to the office to find out how to leave a donation. There was no one ever asked. And they gave me my own accommodations and they fed me and everything. I never asked for money. And I found out that was the policy of the ashram under Ramana when he was alive, that no one was ever to be asked for money, ever. Yeah, so they kept that after he died.
Huh.
Unlike, you know, some other institutions.
Oh, yeah.
Spiritual
That's for sure.
institutions, yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. I appreciated that. I appreciated that. I felt like at the Ramana ashram, they treated me like, okay, you know why you're here. And they just left it at that. So they trusted me to do whatever it was that drew me there, you know, and you know, it was an interesting, it was very quiet. That's what I remember the most, it was just silent. And I was there where his couch was, where he used to sit, and I spent some time there. I don't even think I ever went in that temple. It wasn't open at times when I was around there. It was there. I never went in. It's funny. The thing is,
Did you have any?
Yeah?
Did you have any feelings about the mountain?
No. I just was there with, I didn't know, Ramesh had told me stories about Arunachala, but it was just being in that atmosphere, in that place. And it was just quiet. It's just very quiet, very still. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I got to spend some time there. And
Yeah.
that's as close as I could get to being with Ramana. Still there.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry. Sorry about that.
It's all right. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, you know, it's because we've been talking about this whole idea of desires and the pairs of opposites. It's something that I find myself thinking about how we're drawn to the things that we want and we run from the things we don't want. And there's this roller coaster ride. And talking about it over these weeks has created an awareness of that roller coaster ride. And I find that I'm not buying into it like I used to. It's irrelevant, these ups and downs, they're meaningless.
Yes.
And tying that together with one of the things that Nisargadatta said, he in one of those tapes, he said that there is no person here. There is no person. It's consciousness. I might be paraphrasing it incorrectly, but something to the effect of it's consciousness being aware of itself. There's no person, no individual. when you realize there's no individual that has any real meaning, why would the ups and downs of liking this and not liking that have any relevance?
Right. Right. It's all it's all connected with that sense of doership and that sense of personal identification that draws you into going after what you want and trying to get away from what you don't want. And it just feeds it. It feeds that sense of personalized life and your wants and diswants and your likes and blah, blah, blah. And you know, the thing is that God keeps handing you some really nice stuff and some really awful shit. And, you know, it's just, you know, you're going to get the combination. And it's never all going to be great. And some of it will be great and some of it won't. And it's like, if you don't bother, in fact, actually, if you can just be with everything as just a part of what is, then it makes the good and the bad seem, really you experience them the same because they're all a part of what is. So, so it just is what's going on all the time. And then there's, sometimes it just is uncomfortable, and sometimes it's comfortable. And it's like, it's just exhausting to go after one. And, you know, because for a while, you live under the illusion that maybe you can make it all nice and get rid and not have that bad stuff ever happen again. You see, so you have that sense that maybe you can actually get away with it. But, you know, after some years, you realize, you know, it's pretty much going to happen. Sometimes it'll be nice, sometimes it won't. And there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do about it, except suffer with it or not, you see. So if you can, really, it's just absolutely true that everything just is. That's what's true. Now, the mind uses its ability to discriminate, to pick apart what is and say, this is good, this is bad, this I like, this I don't. And, but if you can just be in that place of everything just is, then you can have peace with everything. If you're involved personally with trying to make things feel good and trying to get away from things that are uncomfortable, then you don't live in peace anymore. You only live in moments of temporary sense of not peace so much, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Comfort.
Comfort. Thank you. Yeah. And then you mistake that for peace. But true peace doesn't have an opposite. So it doesn't matter what's going on. You're at peace with it. And then you don't struggle. You see, that's one thing that Wayne, the successor to Ramesh's lineage, his license plate is abbreviated, but it says no struggle on his car, no struggle, which is his way of describing what the state is. And I like that, no struggle. So that's all it is. If you can just, everything just is, if that's the primary, you don't struggle anymore. And that's a peaceful way to live.
Yeah.
So I'm recommending it.
The struggle is tiresome.
Yes, and that's a good sign for you that you've reached that point. You see, so you have had enough experience to know that it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't actually get better. It's just struggle. And you know, at a certain point, you get that. So good.
Mhm.
Ananta, I had a text from Indigo on the phone. She can't get the chat to work either.
Oh no.
But her question was, she said, so does that mean that the whole planet, solar system, stars, galaxy, etc., are just illusion?
Yeah, all of it. I'm sorry. Without exception. Now, here's the thing. So, I'm giving you concepts and words so that you can understand it, okay? Everything is and isn't at the same time, ultimately. But if you want to understand this intellectually, I'm going to say yes, all of it is illusion. So it doesn't matter what planet you're on. You could be 10 million light years away on some other planet and have 3 arms and 2 legs and whatever else, some other configuration of a form, and it's still the same deal, because as long as there's a sense of separation, that is illusionary, because you are not separate. Mm-hmm. You are one with everything, and the notion that there is separation, that there is an individual, is just is illusion. It's not true. You're not living in reality. You're living in a dream. So it doesn't matter the different qualities of the dream, or the, you know, it seems like the whole universe, galaxies and all that, so expansive. It's really like, wow, you know, but you're looking out there and in outer space, and all you're seeing are tiny, 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 tiny little dots of what appears to be separate things. Separate things. So you're looking at these tiny little light dots and thinking, well, that's got to be real. None of it is. This is just, you're still looking at the dream. This is a manifestation, and it's hard to describe, because even though I'm telling you, okay, that's all illusion, everything is illusion and real at the same time, but that's not going to help you understand it. So just to help you understand, just like how Ramesh says everything is God's will, it's a way for you to understand how it is. That is a very definite, firm distinction that helps you understand. So I'm going to tell you it's all illusion, and the only thing that's real is that unicity with everything. It's not even something you can understand. Okay, but so just yes is the answer for now. Let's see. That's interesting. Indigo wouldn't be. I got it. Thank you. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I hope that helps, Indigo. It's just a way to try and understand something that you can't understand. I'm sorry. But, you know, I think you can get a feeling for what I'm talking about, because all of us are the same. And all of us have the same source. All of us came from the same place and are going to the same place. And even though we have these physical appearances that seem different, we are the same. In essence, in anything that matters, we are identical. So keep that. Take it on faith. This is so. Nice. Hey, Pam, did you have a chance to listen to the video with Ramesh?
I sure did. I sure did.
Okay.
I was laughing because he sounds, you know, a lot of the things that you say are
Yeah,
what he has said. So it's great.
he has a big influence on me, yes.
So he's influenced you, or you've influenced each other, or whatever, you know. Who knows, right? In
He
terms of
was
no
first.
time.
He was first.
Well, we don't know about time, do we?
No, we don't. We don't. And I always had the feeling with Ramesh, he was like an old buddy that I was meeting for the last time. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
there was a very strong connection with him. Yeah. So that's good feedback. I didn't know. I don't know. But I enjoyed listening to it. That's the Ramesh that I knew the best right there.
Yeah, he was a wonderful, brilliant man. Just really, really brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very entertaining. You're very lucky that you were such good friends with him.
Yeah, he was family to me. So.
Yeah. My dog just had an accident, so I have to sign off for a second until I fix this. Yes. So I'm going to mute myself again as I deal with it.
I'm glad I got a moment with you.
So, Ananta,
Yes.
sometimes I think that all the teachings kind of boil down to the fact that there's like two forms of consciousness, thinking and witness consciousness, and that the teachings point to, you know, trying to place yourself more into witness consciousness and to diminish the thinking. And then that's what the practice is. So is that just a major oversimplification, or is that sort of the basic concept?
Well, you see, it's the thinking mind is the one that's getting you into trouble.
Right.
It's the one that's causing it. Really, the thinking mind. That's the one, when you get involved with it, draws you into the illusion very deeply. You see, and really, you see, it's extraneous thought that's not necessary to functioning in this world. All it does is draw up various feelings and judgments, and you find yourself lost then in the illusory aspects of, very strong illusory aspects of personal identification. Yeah, so it's important to, now there's various functioning in this world where the mind is quite useful. You wouldn't want to go through this life without one. It'd be a vegetable, and it's like there's things that just, when you're driving your car, it's good to know what to do when you see a red light. It's good to know where the brake pedal is and that sort of thing, and just the basics of functioning in life. No problem. The mind is handy for all that. So you want to have that around, but when you personally identify, then it becomes a Megillah. Then you've got all these other things that are going on that draw you into various feelings and actions and judgments, which are not required for functioning in this world. They're not helpful. So it's a good distinction. It's the greatest, one of the greatest concepts I think Ramesh came up with, is the difference between the working mind and the thinking mind. It's a very good concept for understanding where to draw the line in all this, and how to spot the personal identification that is basically causing so much suffering. Mm-hmm. Because it's I know there's enlightened beings that basically say there's no mind, and that no ego, the ego's been totally destroyed. But I think it's a little more gray than that. That's one way of explaining it, because black and white people can understand very well. But there's, like I say, all of my gurus answered to their name, so something was still there. But in terms of the thinking mind, I think that dies. That doesn't happen anymore. And even if it did happen, no one would be involved with it. No one would pay attention to it. So it would just be like what Brian was talking about. Something might come up, and there'd be like this thought, but there'd be no residue to it, and it would just pass. It just pass. Yeah. Did that help at all?
Oh yeah. I think I think Eckhart Tolle said that his only accomplishment was diminishing his thinking 80%.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But he considered it an accomplishment.
yeah, right. Well,
who did it? There might be a little bit, but it could also be words. You don't know.
Right.
Everyone has their own way. There's no correct way of saying any of this.
Right.
They're all approximations. And basically, the thing is that I'm not saying something that you don't already know. You already know this on a deep level. And all this is everything, at very best, are just pointers to what it is. When, to that aspect of yourself which is beyond description, which is beyond words, which is beyond concepts. It's pointing to that. And it's using words and concepts to point to it. But the words and concepts aren't what it is. So we're just playing with it here. And basically, what's going on is not the words, not the concepts. They're just keeping your mind in alignment with what's going on behind the scenes. And behind the scenes, there's a reinforcement of that true essence of who you are is just being recognized and being acknowledged. And in time, that becomes more obvious to you beyond all the words and concepts. It just becomes clearer and clearer and clearer until it just becomes what is. And the rest of this stuff just fades. So that's what it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Ananta,
Yes,
Ananta, Vimala.
I know.
Hi.
Huh?
One of my favorite little things that went by was where I can't even remember which video it was, but it said there really is no such thing as a renunciate because there's nothing to renounce.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute. But also the thing that when you're talking about doership, the way that Ramana said that when you really understand doership, then that God is the doer, or the divine part of us is the doer, then there's no room for guilt and some of the crippling kinds of emotions that come up with when we do things, because we're understanding that whatever it is that we're doing is coming from somewhere for some purpose that we don't understand in our finite minds. So that, you know, if you do something and somebody ends up, you know, pissed off at you or whatever, that on some level, well, actually, in all actuality, we aren't the doers. That there's the play is not, really doesn't have anything to do with us either. And I'm trying to understand that. That's just kind of a new way of hearing that. But I thought it was interesting because a lot of times the troubles you have in life are attachment to what you do, your actions, and the outcomes of your actions, and how can I make something happen or stop happening. And when you understand that God is a doer, it takes the pressure off on a lot of that.
Yes, it totally changes it really, because whenever there's personal involvement, whenever you think you are doing something, it's like a bad drug. It's got a lot of nasty side effects. And even the good side effects are nasty. So, you know, you will either feel pride in doing something well, or guilt in doing something poorly. And both those things are really the same. You understand? They're just bad side effects. And so you know, it's good to observe that and see how it works. And so when the personal sense of doership is gone, all of that is gone. You never feel guilty. It doesn't come up. You see?
Yeah, that's, I don't know. I've heard this idea of God being the doer, and I've never really been able to understand that. I mean, I've even heard that we are puppets in the hands of God, and which is you don't like to hear that because you want to feel like you're doing something, but we really may not be doing anything except thinking that we're doing things.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. That's all it is. And, you know, the idea of God doing things is not really correct either, because the whole idea of doing involves an individual, you see. Everything just is. And it's much cleaner than that, you see. But in any case, because we're human, that's the way we follow things. Does that make sense? So it's just a way of understanding it. Even Ramesh said, it's all God's will, as if God had a will, of course. But it's a way that you can understand that it takes the ego out, you see? If you say it's all God's will, then it's not your will. And you see, now you're free. Now you're free from that burden of the nasty side effects with all of it.
Right. And yeah, it was just something that went by that I wanted to comment on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good to see. And you want to watch that and notice how when you think you're doing something, it has repercussions, and they're not particularly a positive thing in your life. So you might want to drop that drug of doership, see what happens.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Good. Okay. Anybody else? All right. We're going to sit quietly for a short time. And I want you all to know that I am with you always, and I am with you now.